And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Connected for Real podcast. I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman, a marriage coach for women in business. And I have Deneen today, and she is awesome. Go introduce yourself. Tell us what you're all about.
So hi, my name is DeneenTB, and I say that because my last name is unpronounceable to most people, and even when they practice. So I don't use it when I'm on lives or on anything. Because my husband's Hispanic, so I added his name because when you are in the Hispanic culture, you become of your husband. So my name would be Deneen Troop de Buitrago, but I just hyphenated it, kind of Americanized it, and then I make jokes like I'm a women's liber, but it's not true. So, but it's to honor his traditions. Anyway, I am a Christian business coach. I'm a growth strategist, really, and a clarity coach. I have been working with Christian businesswomen for over 10 years, first in networking and now in coaching, to help them really create God-centered businesses based on how he has designed them, because of course we are all crafted beautifully inside the womb, and we're all unique individuals, and we can have a business that represents that is energizing to us and really can glorify him at the same time.
I love that. So, when you say unique, get a little bit more into that. Are you talking like strengths and weaknesses, personality traits, things like that?
Yes. So I am a teacher by trade. So went into the teaching profession, and I was a teacher for about 10 years. And I loved personality profiling and all of those things to help my students really learn well. Then I transitioned into homeschooling my own two children and helping other homeschoolers in all various areas, but mainly with second language learning. I speak Spanish. Obviously, my husband's Latino. So I did that as well. So when I brought it into what I do now, because for me, God just didn't give me like this big vision of what my business was going to look like. I stepped into the next thing. I said, I trust God. I'm going to step into the next thing that I feel is the next step in what I'm being impressed upon to do. And I love I love business women. I just love them because I love the way they think. And I didn't find those types of women in the teaching profession. At first I thought, oh, maybe I did the wrong thing. What was this, God? But I'm a teacher. So what I want to show them now, and what I can bring from all those things that I've done in my life, is what I bring into my business as a coach, is what I call a mosaic masterpiece model, because we are created as a masterpiece. God doesn't just make us all like stamps, we all are unique, and we can take these pieces of our life, which can be your personality, your strengths, your values, but they can also be things like the talents that are innate in you, and your experiences that God has allowed in your life, your expertise, because you may have an expertise that is a certificate or a degree, but you might have one that you've just done something over and over and over again, and you're an expert. And of course, we have our spiritual gifts that are just infused by God on us to show up when we need them. So I say we can pull all these pieces and we can create a new mosaic. And it doesn't matter if there are parts of your life that are hard, kind of ugly, because God, what he does, I liken it to, he takes all those broken pieces that make up a mosaic and he puts them in a tumbler and he cleans them up and he transforms them into something bright and beautiful, that even if you look closely at each piece, it might still look ugly, but when you step back from a mosaic, you see the new thing that it creates. And I love that he's given me this kind of word picture to be able to pull what I do together.
That's so cool. So yeah, one time I was at it was this really fun class. We did a lot of art therapy type things, and one time we were learning about how God works in mysterious ways and all these different things. And we had to draw two different things. One was draw a really beautiful picture and then add black on top of it. And the other one was use black as part of the picture. And obviously when you use black to guide, the other colors and everything sort of works together, it comes out beautiful. And if you come afterwards and just like scribble black on something beautiful. So it was just to illustrate how like you were calling them the ugly parts, but really everything works together to make that pretty picture because it was predetermined and pre-thought and everything is so aligned. So I love that you say that. Let's get into how we can work smarter, not harder when you're aligned, because I do that a lot with my group, and I want to hear how you do it and what do you think about it?
I think that one of the things that I know that happens to women is that we do have so many different directions that we're going in, and we feel like we need to do all the things all at the same time. And I think that we need to give ourselves a break and we need to get a focus. And I think when we're working smarter is because we have taken the time to have a focus, to go in one direction, to create a plan. And we don't need to, like I call it, throwing spaghetti at the wall. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you throw it at the wall, and if it sticks, oh, maybe that's going to work, right? But the thing is that you've got to do it again and again and again and again. And so what is beautiful about having a focus and a direction and really simplifying what you're doing and not trying to do all the things is that you really understand the next step, because you're staying, and that's I loved your illustration about the black over the top, because sometimes we go and do all our plans and then we say, okay, God, please bless all the plans I just made. But that's the wrong direction. We got to turn it around and say, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Start there in prayer. I do a lot of journaling. What do you want me to do? What is the impression I get from you? What are you telling me in your word that I need to follow? And it's not that we have some responsibilities, especially if we have young children and all this. We can't do as much as we think we can do. We're not supposed to neglect this part of our life because we feel some kind of calling or inclination to go into business. So if we can simplify and say, this is how much I can do, if we can have a focus, if we can have a direction, that's going to help you to work smarter, not harder. Because God promises us rest. He modeled it for us in creation, right? We are to take a rest. And I talk about Sabbath a lot. And I know it's not the same Sabbath as you have, but I talk about taking 24 hours, an hour day off every single week. And I start mine on Saturday evening through Sunday evening. And I say to my women, do you trust God enough to take a day off from your business, from your work? Seriously, if he modeled it for us way back there, it wasn't because he needed a rest. It's because he knew his creation needed a rest. And I know that for me, I come back with better ideas and more creativity after that time off and just not thinking about that kind of stuff. It's like this. Like, I think what we do as women, it's like, we want to help so many people, but I liken it to, it's like having a big lake and you're making a little splash over here and a little splash here and a little splash here. You're not really making the impact that you could make with a focus, with a direction. And it's like scooping up all the water and pulling it down into one thing and really having an impact on those people that you are called to serve in your sphere of influence. Not all of us are called to serve the millions, the masses. We're called to serve who's in our circle here, who do we see daily, weekly, monthly. Those are the people that we should be focusing on, and God will bring those people to you if you've got the right message.
I love that. I love that you brought rest into it because it's so counterintuitive, right? Like we think you want to succeed, you got to do it. You got to work, you got to move. And it's like, you want to succeed, stop, pause, right? Like
Exactly.
stop everything you're doing and just don't do anything. And it's like, no, but yes. So we have Sabbath also, right? Ours is Friday night to Saturday night.
Right.
And this year we also have the Shemitah, which is the 7th year. So there's a 7-year cycle, and the land has to rest. So we have a lot of laws, and it's a beautiful experience. Actually, it only happens in Israel. So people who are living outside of Israel don't have those laws, but the land of Israel has to rest. And so you're not allowed to work it, and you have to just let things grow on their own and let the land rest and stop, putting in more and more, trying to get more out of the land, right? Like you're constantly reaping and constantly sowing and constantly, putting in the seeds. Stop. Just stop. once every 7 years, right? And I know that teachers take a sabbatical, which makes total sense every, 7 years or so.
Yeah.
I love that. Ah, my baby's talking. I love that my I love that my coach says that she takes every 8th week off. Like she actually schedules it into her program that the entire company shuts down.
That is a really great idea. Actually, I run on an 8-week cycle as well, and so I do all my goals and planning for every 8 weeks. I try to do what the gurus say and do a whole quarter, but as a wife, mother, woman, it just never worked out in that last 4 weeks. But I love that idea of actually taking a week off. I know my business partner and I, we've scheduled in some actual vacations this coming year that we didn't do this past year. We would take some days off, but we actually scheduled it. So it's the part of that is looking forward to that as well. I know for me, every week I have certain things that I actually save to do on my Sabbath, like that I can look forward to, like whether it's reading a book or spending time with a family member or just taking, extra long walk or whatever it is, something that I know is going to rejuvenate me. I love the principles that are in the Old Testament because of the fact that God knew the cycles. He knew how he created it. And he knew that the land even needed to rest so that it could replenish itself. And we need to rest even more often because we need to replenish. And I would challenge anyone that's listening to go ahead and, I don't care if you pick it on a Wednesday, just pick a 24-hour period every week and just stop and do something different. Don't think about your business, plan how you're going to, if you don't even want to cook, plan that out, whatever it is you want to do. And watch what happens, because my experience has been when I start on Monday morning, I've saved that like time period on Monday mornings for my writing time, whether I'm writing a script for a YouTube or I'm writing for my books. I have one book, I'm getting ready to write another one. That's like, I have like so many ideas and I just get so many things down, and I will just tell you, you will be more creative and you will get to the place where you're like, I can't wait till Sabbath starts because I need it. Kind of thing.
Yeah. So for us, it's actually also no phones, no social media. Everything shuts down. Like you are forced to pause.
Yeah,
And
I don't go on Facebook or anything on my Sabbath. I totally don't do anything
yeah,
until it's over. Yeah.
it's such a
Yeah.
blessing. It's such a blessing.
It is. And as a Christian, a lot of people don't do that. And they just think that they get up and they go to church, then that they've done their thing for whatever religious thing they think they need to do. But we're not just following traditions of some religion. We are following what the Bible tells us. And if God has laid this out for us, then we can trust that whatever needs to happen will happen in his timing, and we just need to trust him. And this is our way of saying, okay, God, I'm surrendering my business, my life, my actions, my emotions, my everything. This is my weekly surrender. We already do it daily, but this is my weekly, I do trust you. I've done it for probably almost 10 years now. And it's just something. And my kids and my husband, they say this thing. They're like, oh, mom's on Sabbath. You can tell she's not doing anything. Anyway.
I want to, something that hit me one time, a long time, in the beginning of my business was when I said, oh, but I don't have time. And then I stopped myself and I like, who created time? Right? Like, who gave you the time? Like, let's start from the basics, right? Like we think we own time. We think time is ours and we have the ability to control time. We have nothing, right? And that makes me so much more calm about doing the things I have to do, because time is going to have to work itself out. Like if I'm doing the things in the aligned way, things are going to work out.
Definitely.
Except for my baby likes to make. My baby is learning to make raspberries while we're talking. This is the first time he makes types of noises.
Always something new. Always something new.
Always something new. So let's talk about marriage, because this podcast is all about how everything affects marriage. We're talking about business, so I think it's perfect to talk about how your business affects marriage, especially when it's aligned.
Yeah. So for me, my husband is an engineer, so he's been going to work for years, and then he's been home for the last almost 2 years. He came home in March of 2020 to work from home, which is where I work. I work from home. I used to be very local, so I used to go out and about. And I will tell you, I had a networking group for 8 years. And every third Thursday of the month, my husband would be, "Where are you going?" So I mean, he never remembered where I was going. I'm like, "I've been doing this for 8 years. And what do you mean, where am I going? It's third Thursday of the month." So for a lot of time that I was working in stuff, he had his job, he went to work, we had our home life. He kind of didn't know what I was doing. Um, and and it was okay. I'm pretty independent kind of woman and everything like that. But since he's come home, it's really hit home for me how much that he was disconnected from what I was doing. And I really wanted him to be a part of that. And over this last year, and so I just went to God with it. Like, how can I have him be part of this? Because before I would be like, this is my job and my money and my bit. That was the wrong attitude. So this year, my husband has been helping me at the end of each month. We're actually doing the financials, the in and out and all that stuff. So he's actually seeing what's happening in my business in that kind of respect. And I was thinking, how could I get him involved? Where would it be a good fit for him so that I could involve him more? And so finances for me was kind of my weakest thing. I wasn't keeping his track of it as well as I could. So for me, it has affected the marriage in that, well, one, he's home 24/7, which I don't know if that's good or bad, um, but it is that,
It's
you
good.
know,
It's good to see that people can relate. It is difficult to share the same physical space. It is
exactly.
your
No,
domain after all.
yeah, for a long time, I would say, "Oh yeah, I love being with Carlos, 24/7." But now that it's like been a real thing, it's like that used to be like a 2 week stint or something like that. One of the things my husband and I did realize about one another is that we feel the closest to one another when we are actually working on a project together. So we've been on different mission trips because we do speak Spanish. So we've gone with our teenagers at our church to South America. And we always came back thinking, we really enjoyed working together. And that's when we feel the closest, that when we have a project together to do. So we're pretty close to retirement. So I don't know what that's going to look like in retirement, but we'll see what God opens up for us.
Yes. I like that you said, that you sort of leaned into one step and then the next step and the next step, because you can't really know the whole road before you step into this type of work. I don't think any of us know where we're going, right? It's like I could plan for a big picture of what I think I want, but really, if I would have known that this is what I'm doing last year, I'd be like, whoa, really? That's cool, right? Because there's just so much more that God wants to give us and spill on us, that we're even aware we're capable of holding, because we're just
Mhm.
so behind. Like it's just pretty amazing. I had an interview in one of my um favorite podcasts, and this was the name of the podcast that was like the top of my list of like, oh, I'll never get there, but if I could, I would interview there. And
Yeah.
I actually had it 2 weeks ago. And I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, it actually happened. How did that happen? Right. And it's like, what, 9 months before I wrote it down on a list of like ideal podcasts to be a guest on, and like the ones that are your level, the ones that are above you, the ones that are like never, but I wish. It happens because you're not really in control.
Exactly. And when I was writing my first book back in 2017, that was something that I had planned as well. And I think what you said, it's really important to write out these things, because if we don't, it stays as a swirl in our heads instead of being in front of our eyes where we can be reminded. And I remember thinking, while I'm writing this book, I should reach out to podcasts. I should reach out to other writers who've written in this topic on this thing. And it was my year of my word for the year that year was daring. And it was something that was actually really daring for me to like connect with other authors that had covered women in the Bible, because I was covering women in the Bible. And it was to just see who the podcasts were that were out there and getting on. My book wasn't even written, and I was on a podcast talking about this book that wasn't even published yet, But yeah, it's so true. But that physical, like, write it out, then do the research. It's not like, I don't ever believe that if I just say it, then I'm just going to sit back on my hands and God's going to give it to me, because there are pathways, there are things, and yes, they will work out because God also has that plan for me. And as I stay aligned with him, my mind is his mind, and I'm going to go in the right direction. I'm not going to be in the total opposite direction. So
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I think also it's, there's a big factor of trust. When you trust that I have no idea where this is going, but it feels really aligned, then you're really guided.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. When I first got into this, when I first started, I gotten out of teaching, and my husband and I had planned, we were training to be missionaries, and that didn't work out. God had another plan. But my daughter was like getting ready to go to college, and I was like, oh, I hadn't worked for a couple of years, and I didn't want to go back to teaching Spanish. So I tried to go back to just the classroom, and I only lasted at that job for like 2 weeks. I know why. It was my idea. It was something I knew how to do, and God had a different idea, because I remember coming home in the car that day, praying to God. Like, what am I supposed to do now? I need to make some money. I can't have her go to college and not even just be able to pay for some books or whatever. I always felt like I needed to contribute to the family. And my previous teaching had always contributed to piano lessons and dance lessons and those kinds of things. So and this never has happened to me since before, but this thought came into my head, and I don't know if it was God or whatever, but it was that my sister did this direct selling company, and I literally out loud said, so, like, God, what does that mean? I don't care. But I got into business. It took me 4 months to wrestle with God about this, because I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do it, because I was like, a sales job, parties, what? I don't want to do that. I did. I went in, I did really well, but that was like the beginning of the taking these steps, because like I said, I didn't know that I loved business women. And so I remember I was in for maybe a year and a half to this company, and I had already changed it up. I was already making workshops, because the teacher in me comes out, and I'm like, I just don't want to do these parties. I'm going to do workshops. I'm going to teach this. I'm going to do that. And I really went to the Lord, and I said, I'm tired of all these women telling me that they have to call their husbands to spend $40 at my party. Who has their own money? And I was like, Christian business women, they have their own money, because I was selling Christian products. They had verses on them, whether they're from the Old or New Testament, the products for their home, right? And I was like, oh, that's what I need to do. And then I was like, so I started my networking group solely as a marketing thing, because I wanted to be in front of my ideal clients, my audience, right? And I remember at one point, before I started my networking group, getting this overwhelming feeling of, Deneen, you're going to walk into something bigger. And I almost felt like I was on the edge of a cliff, like as big as a canyon in front of me, like the Grand Canyon. And I remember standing there, feeling like I was standing there going, okay, God, what am I supposed to do with this overwhelming feeling? It wasn't a vision, really. It was just like, I knew something bigger was going to happen. And I was like, what am I supposed to throw myself off of here? What am I supposed to do? And again, God says, do you trust me? Take the first step. And when you take that first step, and we always, when we're starting something, that first step is the biggest. It's like the most pressure. You don't know, and I remember finally taking that step and feeling like God's stepping stone was just right there under me. And as I have followed this journey, like I said, through the last 8 to 10 years, it has been almost like I can run across that vast expanse and know that when my foot hits, that stepping stone is going to be there. And it's just a wonderful, freeing feeling that it doesn't matter what happens, God has got it. And even if it doesn't work out the way I expect it to work out, which I've had a lot of things not work out the way I expected, I learned something. God showed me something, because I believe that God is molding my character through having a business. Now, he uses different things in different people's lives. Earlier in my life, he used something very physical, and now he's using this. And the women that I work with, I know that God is shaping their character through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship.
I love that you said, one second, I'm going to try and recall what you said that I really enjoyed. Oh, yes. He's shaping my character, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you say?
Yeah, shaping my character through my business.
Through my business. So, this is something that I talk about a lot because it's just so important. People think I'm in it, I'm in business to make money. I'm in business to whatever, but like, no, you're in business to transform, right? To like for that the inner transformation. And if you're not in business, by the way, you're getting this from your parenting and your, marriage and whatever else you're doing is going on in your life, because life is here with mirrors all around you, showing you where you need to work and how you need to transform and where you need to be. But business is going to really push you, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you have to figure this all out yourself and you have nobody else to like fall back on and say like, oh, he'll take care of that. I have no idea how to do that. We can't do that. We have to keep figuring things out.
And I love the fact that I teach this. I believe it. I teach it. God brings those resources, whether they be people, programs, books, podcasts, whatever it is. He will bring the resources that you need, because as an entrepreneur, yes, he has equipped you to do what he's asking you to do. But at the same time, we just don't know what we just don't know. And he's going to bring those people alongside of us to help us along the way to get to where he wants us to go. And that sometimes means, yeah, we have to spend some money and invest in coaches or mentors and things like that. And sometimes I always say, when I first got started, I felt like all the books at the library were just like falling off the shelf at me because I wanted to learn so much. And I just felt like everything I needed to learn kept coming in front of me, in front of me, in front of me. So God will put that in your path, and it's up to us to discern that. And that's another part of staying aligned with him, is that we will have that discernment, because I don't think when you get to this place in your life where you're following God, it's not that we have a choice between what's good and what's bad. What we have a choice of is, this is good, and this is good, and this is good. But what is really the best or the better that God wants for you? And that's that's our discernment piece. It's not like, oh, are we going to sin or are we not going to? That's not where we're at. We are at the place where we have to really discern good, and better. And the enemy is going to bring up the stuff and go, but you can do this because you know how to do this. You're talented. Yeah, but it's going to distract me from what God really wants me to do, even though it's good. So
yes. Go back to, let's double tap on that. You're going to have to spend money, because I find that a lot of people have a very hard time spending money on the things that are going to get them to the next level. And I know I had this, right? Because raising a growing family and having very low income, and you're like trying to put this all together, and you're like, I can't spend, I have to make. You're like, that's the point here, right? I'm like, I'm here to make the money because we need to live on it. And the first time I invested in myself and in my business skyrocketed. And the investment came in 3 times the amount I paid within very short amount of time. And then when I invested again, it doubled itself. So I personally feel really strongly about investing in it, also because it's not really your money.
right, exactly.
Right. It's money that God has brought into your life in order to show you what, how to use it and what to do with it. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think it's really important. People have a hard time with that.
Yeah. So, we really are the stewards with the D, the stewards of anything that comes in. God, whatever gift God gives us monetarily, relationship wise, whatever, we are to do our best with it. And we are to use the gifts that he's given us. And, for some of us, that means business. Yes. A lot of people will try to get all the free stuff that they can, right? But free only takes you so far. I'm like, yeah, go to YouTube University and learn all of those transactional types of things. You can learn how to make a sales copy. You can learn how to create a course. You can learn how to, whatever, and grow an email list. Those are all very transactional type of things. What you want to do when you invest is really look for something that's going to be that transformation. It's going to take you from where you're stuck. I call it the pain to the gain. And you're right. If we don't invest, if we don't go towards people who have been there already, who are a little bit further ahead of us, then we aren't going to get anywhere. We're going to do that, that what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, and you're just not going to get anywhere. And that's the part of investing, is like, once you've exhausted all of that free stuff, you still will not have the transformation that you need. You need to go to someone who has thought this through, already been there, already done that. My own coaching, I tell people exactly what to do, and they still don't trust me. And I'm like, do you see how many people are coming into this community that we have? That's because I'm doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. So if you want people in your community, so there's that social proof. So I would say, yes, there are programs out there are coaches out there that you will not get what you pay for, but be discerning. Ask God, if you're bringing these people in front of me, then point me to the right person. Point me here. Let me hear the person that is right for me, so that I can get to the next level. But yes, if we're not willing to invest, you will not change. Nothing will change, because you can't learn anything new unless you have some of that rapport with someone. If you let someone help explain things to you, be able to ask questions, and coaches and mentors, their time is worth it, not just because they know a little bit more than you, but also because, at least for me, I'm willing to be in the thick of it with you and figure it out with you, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that, yes, we know we have to be really, really, when we have a budget, we need to be really cognizant of that, and honor the fact that we're taking maybe money from our family. Maybe we need to budget that out, wait a little bit, or find a coach that's willing to give you a payment plan that you can actually work with. I know God's called me to do that. It has called me when I feel it's the right person. They're going to, that he, I have a price. I don't make the price go down, but I want to work with a person. I feel that God's impressing on me that this person needs you. Let's get them in. And so you can find coaches and mentors and programs like that. Just keep looking for what will be helpful to you. I've had people on my clarity calls, which are my discovery calls, say, I just don't have any money right now, and I don't know how I can afford this. And I actually can go down like what they're spending on. And I'm like, well, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. And then you'll have, $300 a month, like it's sometimes we just, in business, we've taken so much of what everybody tells us that we are, what I say is like, we're spending $50 over here to be on, this scheduler, and we're spending $55 over here to be on this. I had someone the other day tell me that they paid for LinkedIn, and I'm like, no. So don't get all the advice of everyone. Find someone that who's there, and get their advice, because everybody will have something different. And also, what is the focus? If the focus yes, we want to make money with our business, but if our business is only focused on trying to make the 6 figures or the 7 or the 8 figures or the 5 figures a month or whatever it is, that's not God. That's not what God wants. God's going to take care of you. Does that mean you need to make $1 million this year? Probably not, What is it that we're supposed to do? Well, we're supposed to have an impact to make someone else's life better. Their pain, help them to their gain. We got the hero, the zero to hero story. We're the
Right.
hero of our own story, right? And we want to transform people to get from where they're stuck to where they're really flourishing. And that's what we need to invest in. And that's going to be a higher investment too, because of the fact that it's not just giving you one thing. Like, here's how to grow your email list. And I used to do that. I had workshops for everything. I was $100ing myself to death and running myself ragged because I would have this social media workshop over here and this procrastination workshop over here. And no, focus, direction. You make more money,
Yes.
you earn more money, and and then you can invest more money. It's never over. If you're an entrepreneur, you can never stop learning.
Right.
So,
Right. So I have a very interesting twist on it I want to add to what you're saying, because it's not separate, it's not different, but it's just another layer. When I was signing up for my, for the coaching program that I'm in, that was already almost a year ago. And I one time, I won't forget this, I was standing in prayer and I said to God, I haven't been fair. I don't think I've been clear. I keep asking for abundance. I keep asking for, for you to guide me and show me, but I'm not being specific. I need you to tell me exactly where to go, who to turn to, and what to do. Right? Like, very specific. And these are the results I want, so that you can show me that this is the right direction. Like, if somebody says this exact, the exact words, I'm going to know. I ended that, and maybe half a day later, I get a message from a friend. Hey, look, there's this freebie thing that I think you'd like. So I signed up and forgot about it. And then I suddenly got a message from the person who's running the freebie, like, hey, what's up? I want to hear more about your business. How can I help you? So we got into this conversation, and this was on Sunday, I prayed. On Tuesday, I met with her on Zoom. On Friday, I already bought the program. Now, the crazy thing is that I did not have the money for the program. It was a really expensive program. But then I went back to God, right? Between those days, right? I'm like watching, listening. I'm like, okay, how do I make this work? God, if this is what you want me to do, show me how. Because just like he sent me the right person, he's going to show me where the money needs to come from. He's going to show me what I need to do. He's going to show me if this makes sense or not, right? Like,
right.
it has to all work out together. It's not like he sent you one thing and now you'll go figure it out yourself. Like, he's still there with you, holding your hand, showing you through, right? So it is amazing when people actually get really, really clear. And actually, I have a mastermind where one of the ladies went to her husband and said, this is what I really want. And I'm really thinking that I'm going to do it. And he says to her, how are we going to pay for this? And she said, I have no idea, but, Bat-Chen said to ask God how he wants to pay for this and he'll show us. And the craziest thing happened. The next day, they get an email from a lady who owed her money. Here's a part of the money I owe you. And the money just went into the account. So, poof. Right? We think
Exactly.
it's magic, but in reality, it's you asking and looking out for the answer and being really, really awake, because you can't fall asleep on the job. You can't be like, well, I asked, now I don't know what else to do. No.
Exactly. I mean, I love what you said, because you actually put out Gideon's fleece. So you put out the fleece and you said, okay, God, I need a concrete answer from you. And I think that when we are the most, not desperate, I don't want to say desperate, but when it's on our heart and it's pulling at us, that those putting out a fleece like that and saying, God, I need you to like show me exactly, because I can't figure it out and I don't want to figure it out, that's totally appropriate. That's totally what we need to do. And the same thing, I know that I have had people that said, the same thing. I said, let's follow up with a call. You go talk to God and see how you can afford this, because you do need this. And I've had people walk away because they haven't really listened to God. I can tell
No,
just by what they say. They
sometimes
just
the
they
answer
get
is
scared.
no.
Yeah, they get
Right.
scared. They're coming at it in fear, and I can hear that in the words that they're choosing and those kinds of things. But really,
But I also want to tell you it's okay if the answer is no right
yes,
now, like not right
exactly,
now, or it's not the right time, or that's not the right person for
exactly,
you. Those things are all great. I, as the coach, I'm very respectful when they
exactly.
say, it's just really not working out. And I don't think that I can fight this. Like I keep fighting into the wall, like feeling like this isn't the right thing, even though I really want it. And I'm really happy because it means they're actually doing the work, right?
That's true
They're
too. That's
learning
the
through
other
that
side.
experience.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, God's really called me to help work with people so that they can get in because they've been so, I guess other coaches, they haven't worked out well for them, whatever, they know that they need it and they want it. And sometimes it's up to me as the coach to be that discerning with God saying, okay, let this person come in for what they can afford, what they feel like they can afford. Plus, I also know that the coaching that they're going to come into with me, and you might feel the same way, I know that they're going to make the money to pay me. So maybe I don't need the money all up front. Maybe because I do trust the process that I'm doing. And I do
Right.
have those kinds of agreements with people because I know that what I teach them, and if they put it into practice, that they will make enough money to pay me. So I'm not worried about that if I really feel that God's pushing me on my side as the coach. I know what did she just say? Louisa said something about
Yeah,
the
Louisa said, "A
client needs
client
to be
needs to
ready.
be ready." Thank you,
Yeah,
Louise.
and that's true. But sometimes the client's ready, but what's stopping them is the fact that it may be that first time that they're investing money and there's still that fear there. And I think that sometimes the enemy does that, uses all of our own natural fears, obviously, to thwart us to what God is like spurring us to do. And so we really do have to discern. And if I can be the person that gets them over that, then that's part of my responsibility as
Right.
a
One of the things that I feel is really good um, I think that it really helped me with my fear of actually jumping in the water, right? Because it's scary in the beginning. You're like, I'm going to invest money in my own growth now. Um, so I think of it as like steps, right? So just like I want to, let's say, add some, a bedroom to my house so that my kids have more room. First, I have to get the architect. That costs less than actually building the thing.
Mhm.
So, let's just take the first step, or let's just, look out for, so what I did was I said, you know what, I'm not buying anything, but now I'm in the lookout for who the person I would buy if I had the money. And that was my first coach. I hired a money mindset coach for 6 months because I was open to finding who is right for me. So
Right.
I was following all these different people and really loving all of them and listening to all the things they had to say. And I learned a lot, really, because you said free stuff is going to get you this far, right? So use it up, use that free stuff because that's going to get you this far.
Yep.
And eventually, when you're ready, then it's going to be so obvious. It's going to be so easy because you're not going to have to start looking. You're already ready. You already
Mhm.
know who you like. You already know what they're talking about. You already feel the trust in that person that they're going to be able to help you. So, something free to do is just start following people, start looking, start listening, right?
Definitely. Definitely. I know I always tease, I have 14 different lead magnets or freebies, right? I have all these different things and it's like why do you have so many? And I don't say everyone should have them, but if I'm a teacher, so every time I want to teach something, I want to give you a tool, right?
Right.
So yeah, we just had a roundtable in my Facebook group this past month, and one of the women that was, they're all my clients, and one of the women that was with us, that's what she said. Jennifer goes, I got all your free stuff. I watched you for a really long time. So if you are in business as a coach, people are watching you, and you just need to continue to have a consistent message, because you don't want to be wishy-washy. And that comes again with that focus and the direction, and not be wishy-washy and say, this week I'm talking about this, and the next week I'm talking about this. You're going to confuse people, because they do, that sales cycle is the awareness of you, like who you are, and you're coming from the other side. Now you're looking for somebody. So those, you need to, as a person, think, how are they looking for me? Well, they have to be aware of what I do and who I am and why I'm credentialed enough to be their person. Then you get into that consideration phase, right? When you are inviting them to like lives like this, or you're inviting them to a masterclass, or just to get a lead magnet from you because you have something, that a small solution for them. That's going to get them to their decision about you. And as a person who's looking for that next level in their business, those are the things that you need to be really, really aware of. Is the message consistent? Do they show up the same way all the time? And is it a message that is clicking with you? Like, is it, oh my word, she's in my head. That's exactly what I'm saying. Are you hitting those pain points so that people know that you can help them from their pain to their gain? Yeah, Louisa, clients have watched me for months. I've had people say, I've been on your email list for 2 years, because they weren't ready.
I have people say I live in their head. They hear
Yeah,
my voice telling them what to do
right.
because they listen to me all the time.
I have a couple of people that tell me, God told me that you were my person. I'm like, okay, that's kind of scary, but that's okay. But whatever they need to get to the right person.
I love that. I love that. Ugh. So where I remember you said one of your freebies is the 8 things to do and then be done, right? Like
Oh
something
yes.
about how to
So
make your day
yes.
be
So it's
more
called my
focused.
Super 8 Day. So the Super 8 Day, it's part of my whole way that I do my goal setting and my action steps. And so I have an 8-8-8. So there's 8 goal areas. There are 8 weeks. And then the last is the 8 things a day, because they build towards your each week getting your things done, and then ultimately to the goal. So there are 4 areas, and they are 2 items that are income producing for you, 2 items that are business maintenance for you, 2 items that are relationship building, which can be personal or professional, and 2 things that are self-care every single day. Self-care meaning get sleep, eat. I'm not talking about taking a bubble bath. I'm talking about basic things that you need to take care of yourself, because what women do is, I liken us to a 3-tiered fountain. And a 3-tiered fountain, it bubbles up from the top, that small cup, and then it pours over to the other parts, right? Well, that's us. That's us. You are the small cup. And if you're not filling up on God, filling up on good things, you are not going to overflow to the other parts of your life. That second tier, your family, your business, because it's your responsibility to your family. Then all the volunteer stuff, right? What we do though is we turn it upside down, and we think we can go do all the stuff outside of our homes first, and the community stuff and the church stuff and whatever it is, and then we take care of our family, and then we take care of ourselves. No, turn it up. And that's what the Super 8 does. It really, as an entrepreneur, it allows you to stop for the day, because if you do at least these 8 things every day, you have done enough to make your business move forward, believe it or not. And as you get more and more used to it, and it becomes more of a habit, then you can actually fit in some other things. I have a couple of videos on YouTube as well. That one's about the Super 8 Day and how that works. And I have it on my website. You just go to DeneenTB. And the T and the B are my last name, but they're also Truth and Business. And then that's kind of the name of my show. But my channel is DeneenTB. And you can go to my website and just go look under resources. And I've got all those freebies, and you'll see Super 8 Day. But it's just a way for you to really focus on, am I doing, things that are income producing? And in every industry, they're different. So there's a place to brainstorm all of those things. Am I doing business maintenance? Because we need to schedule our social media and do our books and all of those kinds of things. Are we building relationships every single day? I always say you have to reach out to 5 people at least every single day and touch base with them. It used to take 7 touches to get a client. It takes 4 times that, at least 28 times of touching someone. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have necessarily a conversation, but maybe it's sending an email, inviting them to a master class, putting a post out that they respond to and you go into a private conversation, just something that you're touching people. And then we have to take care of ourselves. I liken our self-care is to really creating the routine of your day and of your life that fits for you so that you can do the things that God is asking you to do without feeling the pull, the stress, the pain, because that's not where God wants us.
I love that. I love that. And ironically, you put self-care last. I would have put it
Well,
first.
I mean, they're just the fourth thing. They're just the fourth.
I know.
It's the first thing that I think. I personally have to do self-care first. I have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis for 20 years. So that is like so important to me. But again, it's not about the indulgence of I'm going to go have, I do have a massage every 3 weeks, but that's part of my self-care. But it's not that bubble bath, having chocolate, drinking champagne, or whatever people think self-care is. It is actually getting enough sleep, drinking water, getting up from my chair every hour, moving my body, exercise, walking, those kinds of things. So that is very much the forefront of everything that I do.
I love that. I love that. So now I want to ask you about your clients. Do you see that there's a pull between growing your business and being afraid that when the business grows, it will, sort of tip the scale on the balance that is in the home? Because I find, I mean, those are the people I help, right? People who have a good marriage and they want the marriage to stay good. And they believe that if they succeed too much, right? If I become too successful, or if I make too much money, then everything is going to throw out of balance and it's going to pay a price. And we end up holding ourselves back from growing because we're so afraid. This is a really important priority for us, right? Like our marriage is our most important thing. So to give that up for business is really not what we're here for. How do you deal with that?
I think that one of the things that, like I said earlier, that bringing your husband into your business in some sort of way, whether that is sitting down and brainstorming or pulling out, the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan, however you plan, deciding those things. So that could be one way. Could be the finances. It could be all of these different things. I just know that since my husband and I have done this over the last year, like just the other day, we were having a conversation. He was in a class about sales because, like I said, he's an engineer, but now he's kind of in the sales part of it. And he said something and I go, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And I knew way more, but it was a great conversation. And so I could pour into him, and, he was like, oh, I need to use that. I need to say that when I talk to the people in the class again. And I think that for some of us, and I know I've seen this online as well, they're like, the big thing is, let's retire our husbands, right? Let's get our business so good that we can retire our husbands. Well, that can be a goal as a couple. You can make that a goal. I know that, like I said, we're close to retirement. And for me, it is, I'm not going to stop doing this. We're moving back to South America. We're building an apartment and all this stuff. And I don't know what he is exactly going to do yet, but I know I'm continuing to be a coach. And what happens is my money gets to be the extra spend money, right? We have all of the stuff to take care of the bills based on what he's done. So I think it's a collaborative thing. And I think that's the most important part. But definitely holding yourself back because of what you think your husband might think, that right there is a problem, because now you're not communicating what is really going on. And I think I did that for a few years. I didn't tell my husband that I was spending money on coaches. And it was because it was my money. It was my credit card for my business. I didn't have to tell him, but coming clean and telling him that kind of stuff. And now I can be proud, like, I'm paying this down. It's almost done. I'm not in debt anymore. And being able to share that with him, I'm not hiding anymore, because that is what can put a wedge in everything. So I think creating that, like, that my business is going really well, honey. How can we work on this together? What are your thoughts about it? All of those things. I think just being totally honest and not trying to think, well, he's going to think this, so therefore I shouldn't. That's just the enemy trying to put a wedge in between of you. It's
So
that communication.
I love that you found what works for you. And I just want to make sure that all the listeners know, because I want to be really clear, not everything is going to work for everyone. And you're very unique as a couple. So some people, it's going to be really fun to bring your husband into the business. And for some people, you actually have to take a stand and be like, I know what I'm doing. I'm really competent. It's going to be okay. And really, you don't have to say that to him, but you have to believe it, because a lot of what we think is that we need him to be involved, and I need him to tell me what to do, and he needs to be part of the decision making. And sometimes you have to get really confident and say, I could do this. I'm on the right track. I have the right people around me. I have the right, mindset. I have the right guidance from God. Like, it's going to be okay. Right. So I see it from all the angles, because this is my specialty. Right. So some people,
he definitely doesn't tell me he doesn't understand enough of my business to tell me what to do. But he sees, when I say, I come downstairs and I go, oh, got another client. He's like, wow, so I understand that. And you're right. If God has given us this, purposed us to be in business, then we have to remember we are equipped. How does that relate to our marriage? It relates in staying open to communicating with your husband so that they don't feel left out, don't feel disrespected, right? And just know that if this is going to help your family, then this is part of your contribution to the family, that we just need to hold that space of whatever God wants to bring in together, but not to hold back or keep from, because we're afraid of something in their brain that they are thinking that we don't know that they're thinking. We need to ask them.
Usually it's just what we think they think that we think they think.
Well, that's a lot of layers.
That is a lot of layers. But I think one of the things that, just to wrap it up, it's really, really important to be honest with yourself and say, this is important to me and this is important to me. What's her name? Gina DeVee, she said on her podcast early on, like one of her first podcast episodes was stand for the and it was like this and that. I don't have to choose. I don't have to choose between my marriage and my business. I can have both, and they can work together, and they can support each other, and they could be aligned to what God wants, and nothing has to go, right? This is amazing. And the way you do that is by widening and opening yourself up to more room and more abundance and more, the ability to contain all of that. So like, really, you don't have to try to fit them into the little you right now. You can grow as your business grows, and then you can hold both. So I think that's really beautiful. How can people find you?
Oh, yeah. So I hang out on Facebook, obviously. I have a group. It's called Christian Women Entrepreneurs and Business Owners Network. DeneenTB.com is my website, and I love LinkedIn. So that my whole name is over there, Deneen Buitrago. So that's over on LinkedIn. Those are probably my best places to get to know me. And of course, my YouTube channel, if you want to see more of, just me talking to you on the camera. So DeneenTB on YouTube.
That's actually how I found you, was on Facebook. I clicked on your YouTube and then I found you. So I love that.
They're all connected. My beautiful Mary, my tech person, has all my SEO done. I love it.
That's awesome. I'm so impressed and inspired. And I just want to invite everyone who is listening to my 7-day free virtual retreat, ConnectedForReal.com/retreat. It is free. It is virtual. It's 1 hour a day where you come, and on Zoom, of course. And it's called the Marriage Breakthrough Retreat. So we break through to the next level and make sure that your business is really your marriage is really where it, can ideally be. And we really get amazing results. People who come to the retreat are blown away, which is so much fun. And this is going to be the last time I'm doing it live. So do not miss this one, because after that, It's not going to be the same.
It never is. Live is best.
But you said something really true that I think is, goes along with my retreats. When I signed up for this program, I committed to 4 retreats, and I had a baby in the middle. So it was 2 retreats before and 2 retreats after the birth. And now that I'm reaching the 4th one, I was thinking, am I really going to take this over to the next year, 2022, or am I done and open to new things? And that was a really difficult decision, right? Because you're like, but I already got so good at doing this. So, but I prayed on it. And I think that what came to me is that I've perfected the retreat. Like this 4th retreat, I am tweaking and perfecting to the point where it's going to be just so awesome and exact and precise to what people need to hear that I don't have to continue refining it. I could go on to the next thing. So I'm opening myself to new things, and I'm actually not sure what those are going to be yet, but it feels really good to be able to say, like, this is the last time I'm doing it live. Make sure you come, because it's really worth it.
Yeah, putting it on Evergreen is going to be an amazing thing. But the iterations happened, and now they've got the best product. I love it.
Right,
I love it.
exactly. And I like that you said stay focused, because what I used to do before is I would do one thing, it didn't work. I would do the other thing, it didn't work. I'd do the third thing. But here I'm doing the same thing. And then when it fails, I'm like, okay, how do I make it better? Do it again. Because I already committed. I can't give up on this. So it totally changes everything when you commit to doing something multiple times.
Oh, definitely.
So ConnectedForReal.com/retreat. And don't forget to go to DeneenTB.com, right?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yes. And thank you so much, everyone, all the listeners. Thank you to Louise for commenting and being so awesome and with us. It was such a pleasure. We will see you guys next time at Connected for Real podcast. Thank you so much, Deneen.
Thank you. I had such